Nope. It really. Yeah. Last night was a good one. Just didn't turn out the way we wanted. Wilkinson was hot. Oh, wait a minute, that's what I'm fixing to do. We got about 5.
Okay, it's time. Let me call to order the January 15th Town of Board of Commissions work session meeting. And our next item would be to review and approve the agenda. Do we have any changes to the proposed agenda?
Move it be approved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have an agenda. The next item would be the approval of the December 11th work session meeting minutes. Do we have any changes, corrections, or clarifications?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, all in favor, please indicate by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. The next item will be a review of the Highlands Food and Wine Festival event discussion. And this, as a work session, we've had a policy and we will continue with that. We make no final decisions at a work session. It is a process where we discuss, gather information, explore ideas, and so forth. So that's the spirit in which this is being done. We had a similar work session at our December meeting where we discussed the room occupancy tax and that status and legislation and so forth. Again, it was a discussion. The format for tonight, our police chief will be coming up, doing a report and expressing her concerns about certain aspects of this food and wine event. And then after that, we will have discussion among board members where they might want to ask the chief questions. Then I will open up the floor for people to come up if they want to make a statement or express their ideas, and we can continue with this dialogue. So with that said, I'll ask Chief Holland to come forward and make a report.
Good afternoon. Town board members, thank you for hearing me out tonight. The Highlands Food and Wine event brings significant tourism and visibility to our town and is enjoyed by residents and visitors. We recognize the value it provides to segments of the community. However, it is equally important to address the event's negative impacts, particularly on public safety and local infrastructure. Hosting the event on Main Street between 4th and 5th Streets may seem festive and beneficial for businesses, but the narrow space between buildings becomes dangerously congested when large crowds gather, especially with widespread alcohol consumption. The November Food and Wine event demonstrated this risk. Attendance appeared higher than in previous years, with patrons packed shoulder to shoulder throughout the event footprint. And Gibby will have an image of that if you could share that, please. While some may suggest congestion was limited to the stage area, it is extended throughout the event enclosure. While not intended by the event planners, the Main Street event invites outside spectators who congest area properties and town sidewalks. The event on residents and businesses is also, or the impact on residents and businesses is also significant. During the November event, hotel guests reported late-night noise during setup and breakdown, storefronts were obstructed, and staff had to remove intoxicated individuals from establishments for safety and protection of property. Public safety incidents during the event highlighted these concerns. Officers and first responders assisted 2 individuals who had fallen, but crowd congestion and barricades delayed emergency response. Numerous attendees were extremely intoxicated, staggering along Main Street and side streets. Citizens reported public vomiting, and at least 2 individuals were so impaired they had difficulty communicating and recognizing acquaintances. Sidewalks near Town Hall and Old Edwards Inn were crowded with attendees waiting to enter, and people standing in the roadway at Main and 4th Street created hazards for pedestrians and drivers alike. Many ignored officers' direction, forcing vehicles to brake suddenly to avoid hitting pedestrians. Alcohol consumption outside the event footprint also raises concerns. Officers observed spectators drinking alcoholic beverages on public streets, sidewalks, and private property, including the Presbyterian Church grounds. Off-site consumption further increases risk and questions the suitability of the current location. North Carolina law limits the amount of liquor in a single mixed drink, such as 1 ounce, to promote responsible serving. In congested conditions, law enforcement cannot easily monitor servers or prevent over-serving. Increased intoxication in a confined space heightens the likelihood of falls, fights, injuries, property damage, and impaired driving. Liability also becomes a concern. Overserved individuals who cause accidents could implicate servers, organizers, permit holders, or even the town if emergency response is delayed. Managing a crowd of this size requires substantial staffing and resources. Limited access and egress points make emergency response and evacuation extremely challenging, and even minor incidents can escalate quickly. Before we approve this large drinking event, we have to face reality. Our police department is small, and I know we simply cannot safely manage a crowd this big on our own. Yes, we could call on the sheriff's office for assistance, but why should we continue to allow events so large that we have to rely on outside help? I believe we owe it to our community to keep events at a size our department can handle. A manageable event means safer streets, officers who can do their jobs effectively, and a community we can all feel good about. To continue the Highlands Food and Wine event successfully, public safety and community support must come first. Relocating the event out of the confined Main Street area is one of the most effective ways to reduce risk. A more accessible venue would allow crowds to be managed safely, alcohol consumption to be monitored, and emergency responders to act quickly and effectively. The Highlands Police Department believes the Food and Wine event can continue to thrive, but only in a location that prioritizes safety for attendees, residents, and businesses alike. So if I may, so this is an image of the crowd. So we understand that this is, so I was standing up here over this, you get here, but to the right, just on the sidewalk in front of the Presbyterian Church. So I understand that the stage is more toward this area here, but if you look all the way back, I believe that's going to be your place, Sabrina. And the crowd goes all the way back through there. You can see how congested it is. And trying to manipulate that crowd and control over-serving is, I'm an ABC officer for the police department. Also, we have John Cherry, but in order for us to effectively manage over-serving, this is what we have to officer with guns on our gifts. That's very unsafe. If someone were to open fire from this area here up at the Presbyterian Church, you see they have a direct impact. If they were going to try to exit, if something were to occur, we all know what's been going on in Highlands and what we've had to deal with. I don't want to bring much of that up, but because I don't want that, what's been going on to define who we are as a community. However, This area here is blocked by as we all know, the wall with the fencing around, the place, as well as the Presbyterian Church. So we'll have to climb over their barricades and up onto this platform, making it virtually impossible for someone of my stature, by all means, probably anyone in 6 foot or greater. Over here, so somewhere in this area was the VIP section. I know I spoke to a few ladies yesterday that I do understand that they had decreased the size of the main portion to allow for more VIP, of the larger area for VIP patrons. And somehow the young lady or the lady that was injured in that area was not supposed to be in that area. However, she was injured in that area, and I could not break that barrier. If we all know Kyle Rhodes, he was able to, break the barrier from the bottom so that I could get through and minister or help to administer aid to the lady that had I know I spoke to someone here in this area here. If you'll show the next picture of the sidewalk. So this is a video. This is actually a video of the crowd. So here on the sidewalk, you see this here. This is so I did read about where we had observed open containers on the outside of the event. I know the event planners cannot control this. That's what we are. They do hire us, so that was a portion of my job. And so we asked them, get rid of the alcohol. You're gonna pour it out, or pour it, go dump it in the trash can. So this is alcohol that's been poured along the sidewalk in front of the businesses. So it's not only it's creating, hazards within our community. It's Monday morning, it smells like a brewery. So, but those are some of the issues that we experienced on the Saturday.
Captain Forrester, do you have any comments? You're here tonight and you're involved in the fire and safety planning too. Would you come up, please?
The biggest thing we have on behalf of Highlands Fire Department is just thinking about if you have to access the front of Presbyterian Church, or if you have anything down through there where you have to bring a fire apparatus down that street, you have to try to get through that crowd. And most of the tables and things are mobile. You can move them out of the way, but moving that many people is.
You have to think of stampede too, because of the ingress. So out at North 4th and 5th, or North 4th and Main, and then you got the 5th, and at the stage there, there's not that much width between the stage and the porta potties. So trying to, regardless of how many people were there, we can see it's heavily congested by the picture. Trying to get that many people out, because the people at the stage, that many people is going to try to go out that the egress on 5th Street, and trying to get that many people, you're going to have a stampede. And many other communities have experienced where people have actually been killed because of being trampled.
Mm-hmm. What happens if someone, for example, had a serious heart attack in the crowd? What's the protocol for getting to them to?
Well, in this, you've got to get the ambulance to them in that situation, or you've got to block up Main Street and 4th and get all their equipment, which is a lot in that situation, and get that stretcher and everything else rolled down through there, through that crowd.
So we did have that happen. I'm not sure the ambulance, because I was at the back, but I know several incidents we've had an ambulance blocking the US 64 at 4th and Main to remove injured from the event. While the injuries aren't mass number, it still creates congestion in that area because that ambulance is blocking that portion of the roadway.
Any questions of Captain Forrester or Chief Holland? Chief, you also, I know, talked with me about kind of the demeanor of some of the participants or attendees in responding to, your request to move and so forth. Would you mind going over that?
I actually had a citizen today tell me she observed one of our officers spend about 45 minutes trying to get, there was an officer trying to get the crowds to disperse from US 64 at that intersection. This year was a little bit different because usually people are very respectful. Every year we have a problem with no one listening to us use the crosswalks. And they walk directly across in front of that planter and top the entire roadway where the red light is at 4th and Main. This year was people really, and I would say that I did speak with Christy yesterday that one of our officers yelled at someone and told them leave, basically leave now, I want to go home. I don't doubt that didn't happen. I know that it was about 10 to, so we did let the event go an extra hour because the band had broke down. Josh and I had spoke on Saturday morning. So we did allow that to start an hour later. And so I do know that was some of the congestion because people showed up so early. The line in the sidewalks waiting for the event to open. However, this year, people just didn't seem like they wanted to leave. I mean, I know one crowd of ladies, I told them numerous times they needed to leave the event so that they could get to work and get that street opened up for pay ladies, Sabrina Hawkins to get her business flowing, and some of the other businesses right there. That I just kept finding that group in different sections. And then they were at the end at 4th and Main sitting on some bales of hay with more alcohol after the event was closed. To the point they said, we'll leave when we get this done. I was like, no, we're going to leave now. Several, I did threaten that if they didn't leave the event, that they could be charged with trespassing because it's now not open to the public. It's closed off. The permit, I know the town allows the consumption from this time to this time. And technically, once that time is done, then it's, and the event is over, then, that was the route we were getting ready to have to take. I know that they can't control, I get that, but in the same sense.
They can't control the serving?
Not the serving. I'm talking about like, when patrons are trying to leave, we're trying to get them out. That's what we're hired to do is maintain some of this. People were just so intoxicated this time, they just wanted to keep drinking.
I'll make another observation with that crowd. There's no real security screening. When you have that number of people there, someone could have a weapon or something in that crowd.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Chief, I'm new to this, so tell me about security. Do they provide security, or is it just through the town or taxpayers paying for the security? Are they helping? How does all this work? And I presume y'all are providing security to not just the main event, but
Correct.
all the events?
So yes, so they do hire us, they pay us it's called an off-duty, hourly rate. This year I did suggest, hiring 2 additional officers to maintain control of the outer perimeter for the open containers, that might be, on the sidewalks, other streets and stuff like that. And then we have 3 inside the event, sometimes 4. Also, several years they hired also security people they just hired, and I believe, and that they actually hired some of the members of the fire department to be additional security officers. The issue with that is their security. They don't.
It was more just checking wristbands and
Yeah.
maintaining gates. Off-duty firefighters did that.
So you have both there. You have officers that they're paying, and then you have on-duty officers too,
Yes.
which I presume
absolutely,
say, yeah,
yes.
okay.
So so any of us that are off that weekend for the event or those days, they have opportunity to sign up for off-duty work.
Okay. Would you address, because we were very aware of this at Town Hall, the day before with the smoke event, some of the issues that we were facing with noise, because we were getting a lot of complaints about the loud music at that event.
So, yes, I know Captain McCall had asked them to turn down the music a couple times. And while we understand that it was an approved event from the town, I think that, going forward, while we approve these, and I understand that in the ordinance, that when the board approves or the town approves such an event, that they're exempt from the NORS regulations. But I think going forward, even for the Pine Street event, that someone walking out on Colossaga Drive shouldn't be able to hear the music. I received a few complaints, somebody was trying to do business inside the bank, and I do understand the bank hosts some of their, maybe their offices or something for the event. However, there was a lady that was like, whoo, I couldn't even conduct my business because I couldn't hear the teller speaking. She was an elderly lady. I did have some that, might be, they may have complained about noise before, but while we did have some, we also had others that I've never had complaints from before for noise. I know that Captain McCall had asked them to turn it down and he maybe a sound guy or something. He was not as willing to do so and said, well, you need to show me a copy of that ordinance. I know they did finally turn it down. So there were some issues there. I think we had 6 complaints. And then just throughout the year or throughout the last few months, just people discussing it in town or a restaurant or something about how loud it was. We did get them to eventually turn it down, but I think it does need to, in that area where you do have businesses and, homes within the surrounding area close by, that it needs to stay at a reasonable, distance.
Okay. Any other questions of the chief or Captain Forrester? If not, we're, 20 minutes into the workshop. I will open it up for other people who would like to make comments. And if you want to make a comment, please come to the front and state your name.
Hello, I'm Kirk Moore, I'm Oakley.
Would you please sit down?
Yes, so they can hear you on the microphone.
My name is Kirk Moore and I own Oakleaf. And I don't have a store on Main Street anymore. I have moved to Second Street, but for 2 years prior to that, I was on Main Street and had so many issues because of the Main Street clogging. The staff parked almost all the way down from my store on Main Street to Rosenthal's, which took up a lot of parking spaces. It was so bad the next year that I closed my store, as did 2 or 3 other stores down the street. I think CK Swan closed. There were a bunch of people who just said, this is ridiculous. The people are not customers. They're actually looking for a place to sit down and drink some more. And that's not what a retail store is for. I recommend, just as a concerned citizen, that we, because this has reached such a critical point as of this year, that perhaps the chamber or a group of merchants getting together could sort of do not only a fiscal audit of how the food and wine event affects business downtown, but also to do an emotional audit as well, just to see what the effects are to the merchants downtown, and also to the restaurants as well. I've heard a lot of people say that it affected business in that regard too. It just concerns me that it's almost like we have a prime weekend in the fall that kind of gets shut down because of this crucial impacted event. And I'd like to sort of see an audit occur of some kind. I don't know who would do it. And I'd also be interested in seeing an audit as to, I know that we have the police force, on-duty police force that helps, as well as off-duty. We have sanitation issues. We have all these infrastructure issues within the town that are impacted by this event. It'd be interesting to see what the cost of that compares to what it's bringing us as a community. I would also be interested in knowing how the for-profit company that handles this event compensates our town in a direct way for us hosting this event. You know, it could be that maybe they need to find another small town to pick on.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, Jack?
Everybody, thank y'all for the opportunity to come and speak. I guess it's about that time of year. But Mayor Taylor, commissioners, we always appreciate working with you on this event, have for 10 years. Commissioner Tate, welcome to the table. I represent the Highlands Festivals Incorporated Board of Directors. I'm the current chair. I've been with it for 10 years now, since we all sat at Lakeside and talked about the possibility of this event. And it's amazing what it's become. I understand that everybody is here because they want what's best for Highlands. I also understand that we may not agree on what that is, and I respect that. As chair of Highlands Festivals, I'm happy to see so many of our supporters, our board members, our sponsors here tonight. We've partnered with so many individuals, organizations, businesses over the last 10 years, but none has been more important to our success than the Highlands Police Department. We have worked for 10 years closely with Chief Holland and her department to produce successful events, always with public safety top of mind. And we look forward to continuing that partnership this year and in years to come. Saturday's main event is the signature event of the whole festival. It was conceived specifically to bring well-heeled shoppers right to the doorsteps of local shops, restaurants, and hotels. And it's done that, obviously. To move it, even as far as Kelsey Hutchinson Park, would be to defeat that purpose. And we very much would like to keep the event on Main Street. And we have some thoughts about how to work with the chief and Highlands Police to make it safer for all concerned. With that, I would like to address a couple of points made by Chief Holland. She noted that we made some changes to the layout of the main event, expanding the VIP area, thereby contracting the general admission area a bit. But we have not increased the number of tickets sold to main event since 2018. 800 general admission tickets are sold. VIP weekenders make up 200 tickets, and sponsor comps, working vendor passes, and crew are up to a 200 maximum. At no point has the festival exceeded 1,200 total tickets sold. In 2025, we made some changes, and we would expect to make some changes in 2026. One thing that's been suggested is to further limit the number of working passes allocated to sponsors and vendors. We understand that there was some congestion, let's just say, at the start of the event. Through no one's fault, we were forced to push the start of the event back by 1 hour, and we appreciate being granted permission to do that by the town. Honestly, every single shop owner I talked to, every single festival attendee preferred the later hour. But that did mean that there were people already in town, already waiting to get in. So it wasn't quite as much of a gradual thing as it typically is. We wouldn't expect that to happen again. We didn't expect it to happen this time, but had no control over it. One of the things that we can do, or that we already do actually, to ease that congestion at the beginning, is to allow festival goers to pick up their wristbands beginning the Wednesday before the event at the box office, as well as up to 1 hour prior to the gates opening for the festival. To further improve the process, the festival staff can communicate with patrons via email and text message prior to the gate opening, reminding them to line up in an orderly manner, obey all traffic laws, stay on the sidewalks, things like that, all similar to the responsible drinking reminders that we already distribute. Additionally, we can assign on-site crew members to assist law enforcement in maintaining orderly lines and safe conditions before gates open. Crowd density, as Chief Holland noted, is an issue. I have to admit, though, it's kind of a matter of perspective. Every year at main event, I stand up near the stage and I look back and I see a vast sea of happy, affluent people enjoying our iconic downtown, listening to music, eating good food, drinking good wine, and just thoroughly enjoying their experience of Highlands. Although I don't discount how the Chief Holland, Chief Forrester see it, theirs is a very different perspective, and I'm very thankful that they're there to see it through their eyes. One of the points I would like to make regarding alcohol consumption is that we don't let volunteers man those bars for a reason. Those bars are managed by representatives from various wine, beer distributors. They're tended by professional event bartenders. They know their jobs. They know the consequences of over-serving. Their livelihoods depend on it. So I feel like we do our part to ensure that drinking within the confines of the festival is managed. Unfortunately, we have no control over what somebody might do off premises before or after the festival. And I don't doubt that delaying the festival by an hour unexpectedly might have meant that there were a lot of people having lunch, drinking wine, things like that, even before the festival, where maybe they wouldn't have been under normal circumstances. We've always been willing to pay for as many extra police officers as Chief Hollins recommends, as we did last time. There were just a few exceptions this time that we all could manage better in future should the opportunity arrive. Regarding the difficulty of moving the crowd out after the performance, we all, myself included, fully expected the Wallflowers, the big band, to do an encore. The Wallflowers expected to do an encore. That's a typical thing at almost any event. The Highlands Police Department decided to cut it off right at 4:30 while the band was standing back there waiting to go back on. So there was a bit of confusion backstage and in the crowd as to whether the event was actually over. Given an opportunity, we could easily have announced from the stage, that's the end of the event. Please finish your cocktails and leave as quickly as possible. We would be glad to do that moving forward, and will if everyone thinks that's a good step. We are also willing to end alcohol service at all bars approximately 20 minutes before the scheduled end of the event. So there's not as much lingering afterward. People have finished their cocktails or glasses of wine and are ready to move on. I had heard that there was some issue of trash and sanitation. The festival spends $10,000 every year to make sure that all of the waste is handled responsibly. We contract with Zero Waste, a festival greening organization, to separate compostables from trash, from recyclables. And they do a very good job of that. In 2024, they diverted 3,600 pounds from the landfills. And this past year, they diverted 5,200 pounds from the landfills. So I feel like we're doing our part, and maybe with a little bit more advanced communication with the sanitation department, we can do an even better job of it. Chief Holland, you mentioned that usually people are very respectful, and I think that they generally are. But the situation that I just detailed is part of the reason I think there was some contention between law enforcement and people who were being told to leave a little before they expected it to leave, and anticipating an encore. I would not expect that in the future. And Mr. Mayor, you mentioned there's no real screening. Someone could have a weapon in that crowd. Maybe there is some sort of screening that needs to be done. But I would also say that, as much as I hate to admit it, that's a potential at every event. Halloween, how awful would that be? 4th of July fireworks, the Christmas parade. We know from the last few weeks, that we now encounter some situations that we never envisioned in this charming little town. And I commend Chief Holland and her department for the expedient and calm way in which they handled those issues. So I'm just saying that's something that could happen with any event of any size. And I think we've seen that play out again and again. And my friend Kirk Moore, known him for pushing 20 years now, would be happy to discuss with you privately the benefit of the festivals to the town. You mentioned that it's a prime weekend shut down. I think we have a number of people here who have a different opinion about that, but you may not realize we did about 3 years ago contract an economics professor from Western Carolina to do an extensive economic impact study. He determined over months of research that just during the 4 days of the festival, $2.5 million is injected into the local economy of Highlands. I'd be glad to share that.
And Jack, I would love for you to share that with the public, and we've gone over that before.
We have indeed, and I have to say, neither you nor anyone
No,
else
I
at this
didn't.
table.
I know I didn't.
did.
But
I
put it out on the table
opportunity.
and let the press, everybody look at it.
Why, when you wouldn't take that opportunity.
No, I did
Turn
not.
down
Turn it,
the
no,
opportunity.
not in private. It should be in public. If you release that or present it as a document
I am
and
very
had
willing
the
to
Western
do that.
Carolina University people do their research vetting and everything, when you bring it to the public meeting, share it with the public. That's all I'll say. And let me say one other thing about my concern about a weapon in screening. Yes, that's always a potential, but two of those things, the Christmas parade and the Halloween, we do not allow the serving of alcohol. This is, I think, a different situation, especially in that the serving of the alcohol, there's no really way of limiting the serving, and you have people there that have paid several $100s for tickets, and they feel like they should be able to consume as much as they would like. I understand that, but that's, I think, is a concern that some people have, that you have a number of, yes, you can call them bars, but it's not like they're person is going to one specific venue, which is responsible for overserving. It's a complete matrix of different vendors who are serving alcohol, and it's hard to keep track of that. So,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go on record as saying that after this meeting, probably tomorrow, I will send the entirety of that economic impact survey to you and every single
Okay.
board member here, and you choose to distribute it how you would like.
that'll be great, and I certainly will. Okay?
I would also like to point out, one second, Commissioner Patterson. Kirk, one of the things that was greatly noted in that economic impact survey was that the demographic of this group coming to Highlands is very affluent. The majority earn $250,000 a year or higher. They are very well educated. The vast majority have 4 years or advanced degrees. They are an ideal demographic to bring to Highlands. And I would also suggest, not that it's a matter of class, but these are not rabble-rousers. They're responsible, successful people that are here to enjoy a good time. Any questions for me?
Actually, just so you know, Jack did provide me about a year ago with the economic study that Dr. O did from
Yes.
Western, but he asked me at the time not to disseminate it or put it out to anybody else. So I have not. And I'll get to my comments after having read that in a little while.
Okay.
We appreciated that conversation with you, Amy. We always do.
Mhm.
And bear in mind that however long ago that was, 3 years ago, it was proprietary information. The festival spent $15,000 to have that study done. It was done by Dr. Stephen Ha, a tenured professor in the economics department of Western Carolina, and reviewed by the university's board, as all studies are. So it's not.
I understand that, but you did ask me not to
Agreed.
put it out.
After 3 years, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it
can-
was done for the festival in 24, so it's actually just been 2 years.
Okay. Mhm. Well, we've been working on it for.
Oh, actually, he did for the study. Yeah, it was I got it a year ago, but the study was done 2 years ago for the 23,
that-
fall of 23. Yes.
And it was done for both.
Bear Shadow and-
festivals,
yes.
Highlands Food and Wine and Bear Shadow, but the figures I gave you, Kurt, were just for Highlands Food and Wine. It's about the same amount for Bear Shadow.
Yeah, but we can certainly discuss how figures can be presented.
Well, we can, and I think the survey will explain a lot of that to you.
Look forward to it.
Well, I'll have some comments on that later.
Okay? All right. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you all.
We have other people who would like to come forward. Please come forward and state your name.
Just would like to know
Well,
where
no,
does the money go?
Please sit down.
Okay. Can I just ask?
Would you
where-
please state your name?
Where does the
No,
money
no,
go?
State your name first and then.
Oh, Jane Tracy
Mhm.
and the date of birth? Don't make me do that. Okay, I just would like to know where the money goes. There's never been anything. We hear there's a scholarship given to somebody that cooks. That's great. But I'd like to know, what are the nonprofits that get money? Where does the money go? Who gets all this money? I mean, shouldn't there be something put out publicly and say, this nonprofit got this nonprofit got this? Where does the money go? Lots of people say that.
Okay.
Where does it all go? It must be millions.
Thank you.
Thank
If
you.
I may, Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
the festival was never designed to produce income for charities. We love to contribute every year, and we do, to various local and regional nonprofits. The sponsorship that she mentioned, we're very proud of. It's now fully endowed. It's through the Culinary Institute of America in honor of Chef Louis Osteen, who was a Highlands resident. resident, and preference is given to local students should they apply. Remember, this is a food and wine festival, and that definitely honors the most prestigious culinary program in the country, on the world. I will tell you that we are lucky festival to actually make a profit. Very expensive to put these things on successfully. But the whole goal was not to make a profit for the festivals. The goal was to make a profit. This stemmed out of a chamber initiative initially. The goal was to make a profit for local business. And I think we have indisputably brought great profit to Highlands and local business through these festivals. So if there is any profit at all from the festivals, it's simply rolled over. That's it. Oh, yeah, Highlands Festivals is a 501c3 organization. So.
Let's go.
Okay. Do we have any other people that would like to comment? Bly, come on up.
Meeting. Bly Hunsinger. I am speaking on behalf of Old Edwards Hospitality Group this evening. Richard couldn't be here this evening. He's traveling. First of all, what the Highlands Police Department does and our first responders do to make this as safe as an event as possible, I think, is noted. This thing started a number of years ago. It was a few hay bales and a tent, and with Marty and Rosenfield and Laura Huerta with an idea, and this thing has grown into, in my opinion, just a world-class event. I think it highlights what Highlands is all about, and certainly for Old Edwards that has multiple hotels, restaurants, outlets, it's important to us, especially this time of year. We benefit greatly for having this event here in Highlands. Are there ways to be better and safer? Sure. Should we think about all those things we've talked about tonight? Absolutely. But this is I think, such an important event for both visitors and residents. I can say that I've attended as a guest, and I also had a restaurant at one point and was able to serve at the main event, and it's one of my most proud moments in my work life, to be honest. I think just being a part of that and seeing so many smiley faces and people having a great time, and for the most part, responsibly. The problem is there's always a few bad players, and those few bad players can make it difficult for the vast majority of people that are otherwise having a great time. So I think this is a good conversation. Certainly would be happy to sit and continue to have the conversation, but I think we need to be careful not to put so many restrictions, because it's going to take the fun and the natural spirit out of it. Yes, we have to be safe, but it is, for the most part, in my opinion, a very cool event, well attended, highly enjoyed. I know of 2 people that came to Highlands Food and Wine and bought houses up here as a result. So that is a direct impact to this community, a successful impact to this community. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Patterson, I think you wanted to make a statement or
Yeah,
observation?
Sorry.
Okay, come on up.
I think there's others too. Think Sabrina wants to.
Good evening. My name is Leck Hobbs. I'm the manager of the Highland Hiker Store and Cashers. The Wilkes family had a prior engagement and were not able to make it here tonight, but Hillary has sent me a statement from the Wilkes family to present to you guys tonight. If y'all would
Sure.
give me the opportunity to read this to you. Statement of support for Highlands Food and Wine by Highland Hiker. Prior to the rebranding of Highlands Food and Wine Weekend in 2016, the traffic in our store saw a sharp decline from Halloween until Thanksgiving weekend. By bringing an affluent, educated demographic right to our downtown and to Main Street in particular, the festival for the past decade has met its goal of extending our season through the entire month of November, to the extent that sales for the month now routinely outpace those for October. With patterns of economic volatility, the disruption of visitors due to COVID, and the continued increase of weather-related factors, retailers in our area are operating on thin margins to begin with. From our perspective, the increase in our November sales has been integral in the sustaining the livelihood of Highland Hiker in the face of such obstacles. And this would not be possible without Highlands Food and Wine. As a family-friendly destination that offers something for everyone, I am always thrilled to see so many multi-generational groups attend our festival events together. I also see countless new faces, many of whom first found the plateau via our events and have returned to stay in our beautiful hotels, eat in our wonderful restaurants, and shop in our special downtown. It is critical that Highlands remain relevant to the next generation, as travelers and busy families have no limit in options of where to spend a celebratory weekend or where to go on their next vacation. Events like Highlands Food and Wine have helped put us on the map as a must-see generation and fostered many relationships that continue to give back to this community. Hillary Wilkes, Highland Hiker.
Okay, thank you. We're getting close to the end of the hour, but I think there are other people that want to speak. So Sabrina, come on up.
Okay, well, I'm Sabrina Hawkins, and I do not have a speech written, so I'm just going to wing it here. I know that this event is very festive, and I know it brings a lot of business to some places in Highlands, but for me, I'm not one of them. It probably does me more harm than it does good as a business aspect. I have, the noise that we get this year was particularly bad. I don't know why, but it was worse. It started at 10:30 and it didn't let up till 6 a.m. And it's all through the night. It's semi trucks, it's air brakes, it is beep, beep, back up. It's shouting from one end of Main Street to the other. It's the metal poles from all the tents that go up. It seemed like there was a lot more tents this year too. So, I have a hard time renting my rooms on the front because people don't want to stay on them because of the noise that starts Friday night and it doesn't let up till wee hours of Saturday morning. Now, fast forward into Saturday, it's great people watching. People like to sit on my porch. I like to sit on the porch, but it's just not. There's just a lot of noise. This year it took them till 8:30 in the evening on Saturday to clear Main Street, so nobody could use Main Street until after 8:30. I've got Pale Ladies next door. They're open for dinner, but where do people park? I don't know. My people, I don't have walk-ins because I'm blocked. I just think that the event has grown into something bigger than between 4th and 5th Street. And I just, I sat there this year and I watched, I don't know what they were throwing over, but you saw the picture. I watched them throw liquid over the sidewalk and people were tracking through it and into the businesses. So it's this year more so than any other year, it was a bigger problem for me. And I just want to, to say that we close off Main Street for 24 hours and it hurts me. I'm right on the street. You can hear everything. They cook this year right in front of the Highlands Inn. So you've got the sidewalk and, the tents back right up to the sidewalk because they need the space. So they come right back to the sidewalk. Propane tanks. I don't know, maybe that's not dangerous. I wouldn't do it right in front of my inn, but they cooked, on a griddle with propane tanks. And I assume they did that all around the event. I don't know, maybe they just did it in front of me, I don't know. That's the issue. I had a big issue with it this year and, more so than any other year. And I just think that, that there's too many people for that little space. And I certainly don't want to see it end. I think it's a nice event for the town, but I just don't think it belongs right in front of Main Street there. Maybe anywhere else. I don't know where else they could go, but right there in that little space. And it looks small when you get all those tents and all those people in. So.
Thank you.
We have honesty?
Sure, come on.
Hello.
Mhm.
How you doing? I'm Aubrey. I'm the owner of the Highlands Hatter.
Up to what?
The Highlands Hatter, that
Okay,
store.
sure.
I've met with you. How you
Sure.
doing?
All right.
So we have been here since 2021 and Food and Wine has brought so much business to me. I don't know if y'all have seen the pictures from when they first began to now, to the amount of people that are wearing my hats, custom hats and things like that. I appreciate you. Thank you. And I've actually see a lot of familiar faces that I've had the pleasure of talking to, and things like that. But Food and Wine is a 3-day event. It happens in the park, Thursday at the Bascom, Friday at the park right behind my building, and then Saturday in the main event, which does get a lot of attraction. And then you have Sunday that I think last year it was at the park, which was a much smaller event, but this year it was at the Bascom. So I guess my question is, have y'all experienced this much trouble when they've had it in the park on Friday, or is just a discussion with the main event for Saturday? So
To be determined.
to be determined? Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess would a compromise be to make the main event in Hutchinson Park instead of on Main Street, or?
My only comment, I guess, would be that I think anything's up for discussion at the
Right.
moment. I think we need to work with everybody
Yeah.
involved, all the players and come up with I'll say the correct plan, the correct location, every aspect. But I would say at this point, it's up for discussion. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, all right,
I don't
well,
think anybody can answer that today.
yeah, I
Just
get that.
workshop.
All right, good.
And I'm Derek Pollard. I'm with the Highlands Hatter too. I wanted to bring up that it has brought in a different demographic of people too. Like we've been very excited to see a lot of young folks coming through, a lot of young families. And these people are the ones that are quite responsible in these events because they are quite affluent people. And it's been nice to see them come in and want to put their roots down here and want to invest in our town. So being able to have such a big event, bring in so many different people has been great for us as well, not just on that one specific day or the time.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time.
Okay, we are at the end, and I want to now go back and let the board members make any observations or comments that they'd like.
I
to
don't
make.
think we have time to actually discuss this in
I
any
know.
sort of.
I just think there needs to be
reasonable way.
more discussion. I mean,
Yeah, but I think once you get the economic study that you'll see, if you actually read it critically, you're going to realize that it is not quite as glowing as they pretend it to be.
I saw it when it came out.
Not the presentation, the entire.
No, I
study.
saw the entire thing because I asked for it. So I had
Okay.
it. So I did.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean, I think.
I'm not an economist, so
Yeah, but I think you can yeah, I think contributing to the GDP is not necessarily the same thing as contributing to Highlands. Federal taxes and state taxes are not necessarily something that's coming to Highlands.
No,
So
it's-
I think
yeah.
and so what I focused in on, and I realize we don't have enough time to actually do this, is when you looked at the business survey. Okay, and there's actually a table in here that says, and they asked the question, how did your sales do for that weekend compared to an average weekend? And basically, 61.7% said it made no difference one way or the other. Okay. 20.4% said it increased it by a mean of about, no, sorry. 18% of it said it increased and 21% said it hurt their businesses. And the increase of the businesses that it helped was a smaller increase than the decrease of the businesses that it hurt. So you're basically looking at about 75% of the business. The original stated goal and the reason that this board allowed it to be on Main Street was to see how it would work. And we always reserve the right to say, okay, we're going to move this if this doesn't work. And the stated goal was to bring more, to help the businesses during that shoulder season, after the leaf season, before the Thanksgiving holiday season, those kind of things in that lull time. And if it does not do that, then there's no reason to have it,
On Main Street.
and particularly on Main Street. Okay, if they want to do it elsewhere and have it happen, but not necessarily on Main Street, because when 75% of the business are not helped, and of that 75%, 20% of those or more are hurt, and the ones that are helped are not helped as much as the ones that are hurt. So, it's kind of like first do no harm. If you're not actually helping, then why have it on Main Street? Okay, if you're not actually helping everybody, and if you're actually hurting people, the balance is much more to the effect of not helping the Main Street businesses than it is in helping the Main Street business. And they have a list of who of the businesses and what the percentage of who they were and all that kind of stuff. And they validated that they were all businesses. This was a study, it's like the computer thing that says, are you really a human? They validated that they were actually businesses that did it. And so I think you just need to look at it and look at, it says they had, I don't know, a couple of employees. I don't remember because, they funded a year-round employee, but was that a year-round in Highlands employee, or was that a year-round employee from the people from Greenville who put on the presentation? So I think you need to look at it as to what really the economic impact is and what the negative impacts are too.
Okay, we're at the 7 o'clock hour. I think that we will have to continue this, and the stakeholders can, address some of these concerns at another meeting. I don't know when we'll have a workshop. It could be next month. I know that the food festival folks want.
They want a decision.
In a very timely manner, a decision. So, what's the pleasure of the board? Should we have a special workshop meeting, or should we plan on continuing this at the next board meeting, which would be in February?
Well, I think we should have another meeting to discuss, but I think between now and that meeting, the stakeholders should get together and have some.
Yeah.
Because right now, tonight we listened to people. We're not going to solve anything, and we generally never solve anything in a workshop.
Nope.
So I think that we need to get stakeholders together, the yes folks and the no folks and the police and the fire department, and get them all together and discuss how to improve, what to do, where, and maybe location is part of the discussion. Obviously, but I do think that between now and the next time that we have this kind of a forum, there should be a stakeholder meeting. That's my.
And I would say this, they certainly can reach out to the fire and police department and get more information and feedback as they address some of these issues too.
Right.
Any other comments before I call for an adjournment? Hearing none, appreciate everybody being here and providing input, but we need to now go on to the regular board meeting. I propose we adjourn, but we take about a 3-minute bathroom break, and at 7:10, we'll resume the meeting. Have a move for adjournment? All in favor? We're adjourned.